She covered a freezing stranger with a blanket at 4 a.m. Years later, he admitted that was the moment he fell in love with her. I met him on one of the worst nights of my life. Halloween party, loud music, drunk people everywhere. The kind of night where every room feels too crowded and every laugh feels fake. My boyfriend had cheated on me a few days earlier and I was barely holding myself together. I hadn't really eaten. Hadn't slept properly. Honestly, I didn't even want to be there. But a mutual friend convinced me to come. And that's where I saw him. He wasn't the loudest guy in the room. He barely talked at all. While everyone else was drinking and spiraling, he was sitting quietly in the corner trying to stay sober. We barely spoke that night. But somehow, we kept noticing each other. Passing by in crowded rooms, making eye contact for a second too long. Like two exhausted people silently realizing the other person understood something. I can't explain it perfectly. It wasn't romance yet. It was recognition. At some point, the party became too much for me. People were screaming, music was blasting through the walls, and I felt like I couldn't breathe anymore. So I went into one of the bedrooms and fell asleep alone. Around 4 in the morning, I woke up thirsty and walked back downstairs. That's when I saw him, curled up on the couch, shivering, trying to sleep without a blanket. And for some reason, that image still lives in my head. Not because it was dramatic, because it was human. I grabbed a blanket and covered him with it. That's all. No flirting. No big moment. I just didn't want him to be cold. Then I sat nearby and accidentally fell asleep too. The next morning, he asked if I wanted breakfast. And weirdly, it was the first time in days that I actually felt hungry again. Not just for food, for comfort, for safety, for the feeling that maybe life could still be gentle. Before he became anything else, he became my friend. And honestly, that saved me. He listened to me talk about heartbreak without trying to make himself the hero. He stayed close without pressuring me. Even when I kept going back to the person who hurt me, he never judged me for it. He just stayed. Later, I found out he had already fallen in love with me during that time, and maybe part of me knew. But I was terrified of love by then, because love had always felt loud and painful and chaotic. Meanwhile, he was patient, soft, safe. At some point, he decided to get sober completely. Not because I asked him to, and I don't think he realizes how much that meant to me. For a long time, we stayed just friends. Then slowly, something changed. The conversations lasted longer. The silences became comfortable. Being around him started feeling like home. Still, I was scared. Part of me wanted to trust him. Another part of me thought trusting anyone again was a mistake. Then my relationship finally ended for good. My ex cheated again, and whatever strength I had left completely collapsed. And once again, he stayed. No pressure, no selfishness, no, I told you just so. Patience. Months later, on his birthday, we were both a little drunk, sitting together while everyone else laughed in the background. Everything felt softer that night. And quietly, almost nervously, he asked, "Can I kiss you?" I said yes. And the second I kissed him, he started crying. Not loud crying, just silent tears. Like someone who had wanted something for so long that finally getting it didn't feel real. I still think about that moment all the time. How our story didn't begin with fireworks. It started with heartbreak. With exhaustion. With a blanket at 4 in the morning. People talk about love like it's supposed to arrive just loudly. The person who notices your pain without asking you to explain it. Sometimes it's the person who sits beside you quietly while your whole world falls apart. I've given so many words to other people before. Explanations, promises, apologies. But with him, sometimes all I have is silence. And somehow he understands that silence perfectly. I think that's how I know it's real. Because with him, love stopped feeling terrifying. And for the first time in a very long time, it finally felt safe.